Okay, so looking at paper two again, we are going to be focusing on the changing UK economy, another one of those lessons that people just have no clue about. So I don't know if you remember this lesson. It's called the changing rural areas in the UK. You should have an idea what rural means. It means kind of like countryside area away from the city. So you're expected to know a lesson about two different rural areas. I'm about to show you them. One's like near Scotland and one's not far from London, but it's like near Cambridgeshire. So you need to know the names, and you need to know one of them's got population increase, one of them's got population decrease, and the impact socially and economically. So it's not too hard. I have seen this question come up as a 9 marker before, by the way, during the COVID times. So I don't think it will come up. It could come up in its own little way. So be ready. So if we look at the two areas very quickly, here we go. On the map, you can see two red areas. One is called South Cambridgeshire, so please remember, and one's called Outer Hebrides. Okay, so which one do you think is going to have population decrease and which one's having population increase? So I think obviously one not far from London is going to have population increase, and the one far away near Scotland, just on these islands, they're going to have population decrease. Okay. So like you said, the area name is South Cambridgeshire, not Cambridgeshire. This area is having population growth, and we're saying that the rural area in up north is called the Outer Hebrides, so population decline. So you are expected to know two place names. Okay, so let's look at South Cambridgeshire in a bit more detail. So we know that it's an area of population increase. Okay, it's and why it's increasing, just very briefly, in terms of it's increasing because we've got lots of migrants coming in from Eastern Europe. So we know, and they're obviously here looking for jobs. The population has obviously increased massively, and it's going to continue to increase. But we need to look at the social and economic impact. So it could be good or bad. Okay, mainly, I guess, people would see it in a negative way. So think about it. If loads of people are moving to an area, that means house prices will increase. That will obviously, for some people in the local area, won't be too happy with that. So we're seeing that actually these areas are becoming more modern with lots of new buildings and apartments. So that increases prices as the area is getting better, more people are moving there. And another thing you can easily talk about, so that's one point you'd say, and you can develop that. And another mark you could point plus develop, which is that ownership of cars has increased. So it's a rural area still, so not much public transport. But think about it, if there's not much transport, most people are going to be owning cars, and that could also increase a lot of traffic, and that could really kind of like upset locals where there's a lot of traffic, people not happy within an area where that's too congested with cars. Economically, let's think in terms of money. There's pressure on services. Okay, so lots of migrants moving into an area, we can see that there's a cost of living that goes up generally because, there is let's say hospitals and schools might be kind of like more, there might be more waiting lists, things generally go up in terms of rents and stuff. So that's a negative thing where where into an area where lots of people move in. And then because it's a rural area still, you got to think that lots of people who would work on farms are losing their jobs now. Okay, but actually farmers are selling their land because now these areas, you don't really need farming anymore. You can just, they're going to build lots of homes here, businesses, service-based jobs, and that's what happens when areas become a bit more gentrified. So that's in that sense. Let's look at the Outer Hebrides. So it's obviously these very, very rural, I would say, areas near Scotland, just off the coast of Scotland. Population is decreasing. I could probably imagine why. If I'm growing up there as a teenager, I'd probably want to move to somewhere in a major city looking for jobs. So I'd leave this area. So I would say young people, there's hardly any jobs for them, so they move out. Okay, and obviously we can see the population has decreased massively. But we need to look at the impacts of all of that. If lots of people leave an area, it's it's quite negative, I would say, for people that already live there, because you can't afford for people to move like that. So one social impact is that schools may close. Now think about it. If there's not enough kids to teach in a school, that school might have to close, and then those students at that school might have to go to another school, traveling further. So I would say as people move away, there'll be less children. That could lead to school closures. It could lead to people losing their jobs, like teachers. If the young people move away, think about it. The young people who might work there, let's say, in all the jobs and services that are there, or let's say anything that's there, if people move away, who's going to do those jobs? So the area will lose its spirit. The elderly may have to work longer because the young people have left the area, and there's lots of job vacancies. And you get an idea. So businesses may struggle to stay open. So as more people leave the area, businesses lose customers. That's true. And that could increase unemployment. And another thing about this is poor infrastructure affecting tourism. So Outer Hebrides is known for its tourism, but because people are moving away, you could easily link it to like how tourism has increased, but because there's a lack of businesses, not many good roads, money is being lost. And we can say that there's not enough jobs in the area. This is the main reason, you could argue, as like reasons why population areas that are decreasing, the negative impacts economically.